Let's go.
So,
Assalamu alaikum, Jihad.
wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome to Not Your Thoughts.
Thanks for having me.
Who is Jihad and what does the word Jihad mean to you?
So, I'm a physiotherapist slash strongman. I compete in the sport of strongman.
Yeah.
My career as a physiotherapist, which, for anyone that doesn't know, it's helping people get out of pain, musculoskeletal pain, so pain in the body, and helping them get back to doing what they want to do. And I'm a strongman, which is a strength sport where you're lifting rocks and doing superhuman feats of strength. For no real reason, to be honest. It's just for fun.
Because we can.
That's it, pretty much. Yeah, to see what the body's capable of.
Yeah.
And the name jihad, the actual meaning of it, which is misconstrued by a lot of people, is struggle. So a lot of people, they hear jihad and the first thing they think of is war, fighting, something political or terrorism related. But really the word comes from jahid, which means struggle. And I really like my name because I feel like everyone's struggling in this world, and it keeps you it's a reminder of there's a constant struggle and everyone's going through it and you have to keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
And particularly jihad means struggling in the way of God. So doing things for God that require struggle. So we say jihad al-nafs, the struggle against oneself, one's desires and whatnot. And that keeps my head straight in terms of struggling to do good things, struggling to be charitable when you don't want to be, struggling to stay on top of your prayers, struggling to be grateful, all those things. So that's what jihad means to me.
Do people come in, do people have assumptions about you? Like what's, because even it, I almost wasn't sure what to expect either as well. Is that me having preconceived notions as well? Like, where does the word get twisted, jihad?
Well, in the past, let's say 25 years, since the 2000s, it's been thrown around a lot in the media. They'll say things like jihadists and jihadi group and jihad watch and jihad this. But that's because there are fighters around the world that use it as a holy war. So they say we're struggling in the way of God against an oppressor or against a foreign faction, or we're doing God's holy war. So they say jihad. And then the Western media has really thrown that out a lot, saying the jihadi did this attack and jihadi did that. And then people who don't know any better just have this thought that it means violence and war and terrorism. When if they look real deep into it and they see and they actually read in the Quran where jihad is used, a lot of it is used against struggle against yourself, struggling for the sake of God, struggling to do things you don't want to do because it's the right thing to do. And
that's beautiful,
and that's what the real meaning of it is.
Yeah.
And it can mean war as well, like not war itself. The Arabic word for war is harb. But jihad itself is struggle. So they say jihad fi sabilillah, which means like struggling in the way of God. And it can be a war if you're fighting against an evil oppressor, for example.
Yeah. I think where it can get tricky is who gets to determine, obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but on our level on the ground, I think where it can get tricky is when someone deems someone a kafir and then uses that as the means for it.
Yeah.
Do you think that might be involved as well? Or like where can people go wrong is kind of, or what's happening in the world is kind of, I'm asking you to solve the world's problems
so
right here, but
for anyone that,
there's a lot happening.
For anyone that doesn't understand, kafir means infidel or disbeliever.
Yeah.
So it is thrown around a lot. There are different groups that deem people kafir when they don't have a right to, because it's a very, very big thing to testify someone as being a non-believer when you don't know what's in their heart. And obviously politics get involved. People can use religion to their own advantage or their own interests and use that as a power, like a power tool.
Yeah, right.
So then 100%, you're right. It does get thrown around a lot we say takfir to someone. So someone's called a kafir but sometimes it's clear as well. So if someone is a tyrant, for example, and they say we're going to jihad against that person, then it's clear cut. They're trying to take out an evil oppressor, especially in the Middle East. There's a lot of corruption there.
Yeah.
But then politics is a very dirty game.
Yeah.
Because then you try and think about who's running these groups that are mujahideen or people participating in jihad.
Yeah.
There's always different sides of a story and things like that. It's very, very deep.
So what does faith mean to you? And how has that has that been your driving force in what you do with the strongman stuff or in your life?
So faith is everything to me. Islam, I don't really see it as a religion. I see it more as a way of life, because it dictates everything you do in your life, from how to eat, from how to have manners, from even down to the bedroom, and how to treat your wife and how to treat your family. Like, it covers everything. And a big component of Islam is ihsan, which is excellence. So you strive for excellence in things you do. When it comes to strongman, my faith really keeps me striving for excellence. And for anything I do, for any career I try and pursue, I want to be excellent in what I do.
Yeah.
And I want to do it for the right reasons. for example, I want to be strong because God has given me this body as a trust, and I want to have the best potential for that body, or come out with the best potential for that body and return it in a healthy way, in a strong way, in a capable way.
Yeah.
I want to be an inspiration for the people around me, for my kids when I have kids, for my siblings, and pursuing strength and pursuing just self-improvement overall. That can be considered a form of worship as well.
Yeah.
Like Islamically, that's where faith ties into it. It's a form of worship to try and be better in every way, to please God, and just to look after the body He gave you.
That's an important one. That's why tattoos are haram, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Is there an element to that?
I'm not 100% sure.
Or is that more cultural almost?
No, it's definitely haram. I understand that. But in terms of reasoning...
Yeah, because I understood it as like a purification kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then...
Well, any types of like changing your body,
yeah,
plastic surgery where it's not necessary, like cosmetic type of things, that's considered a grey area. But I'm not a sheikh, so I can't really comment. Yeah, I can't really comment on these 100% because I really don't know. But I know it's haram. I don't know exact reason why.
Yeah, I guess we can comment on, though. It is interesting, or things that weren't like existent 1400 years ago, but now do it. Like dare I say that social media would probably have been haram back in the day as well. Or not so much social media, but this kind of this numb taking away from God, from everythingness. This like autopilot mode. There's something that feels wrong about that, devilish about it as well. I just find it interesting, that there's things that we don't know what could have been haram either as well at a different time. But just a thought, just a thought. I guess for a layman like me, how would you distinguish the difference between strongman and powerlifting? Is there a difference between them?
Yeah, so they do have crossover, but powerlifting is based around 3 lifts: the squat, the bench, and the deadlift. Whoever can pull the most weight or press the most weight total out of those 3 lifts is the winner. And you get 3 attempts for each.
Yeah, right.
That's all, 3 lifts. Strongman has heaps of different events.
Yeah.
So there's things like stone lift. There's things like overhead press with a log. There's things like pulling a truck or pulling a train or pulling a plane.
Yeah.
There's things like where you have to carry what they call farmers carries, these 2 really heavy metal objects, and run with it and race the other guy. So there's a lot more dynamic and athletic component to it. And it's more than just squat, bench, deadlift. So it's not just as simple as that. And that's why I like it a lot more than powerlifting. And powerlifting does cross over with it. Like you still have to deadlift. You still have to use pressing strength. You still have to squat in some events as well. So that's the main difference between it. There's just more events and more rules when it comes to strongman.
It almost seems more situational as well. I like the word you use, dynamic, because I've seen your videos. You're like on these weird angles basically, and you're just trying to like, it's you kind of need to use muscles that you wouldn't use in like a normal gym or other scenario.
Another good word to sum it up is it's more functional.
Right.
So the things you do there, they replicate things like you do every day, picking up an object off a floor with a bent back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm always carrying trucks, bro.
Yeah, pretty much. I did it just on the way here. I was pulling my car. I didn't even drive my car anymore.
Flintstone situation.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like a caveman sport, to be honest. It's the way you explain it once you see the videos. So it's much more functional and applies. Like I used to work trade as well as a labourer, and like training strongman really helps when you have to carry like heavy metal sheets and stuff like that. You can do the work of like 2-3 men.
Yeah, right. Good value.
Yeah. So the boss loved me, man. He'd slave me away.
Yeah, I'm in project management. I would have loved you.
Work, boy. Work.
Do the thing. Do the fucking thing.
Yeah. A common one's, you don't have to train today now, mate. Yeah. You're doing enough here. I'm like, no, I'm still going to train.
It's going to play like bulls and fucking...
Yeah. So, that's the main difference between us.
How did you even get into it, man?
Well, I'm kind of a copycat of my older brother.
Okay.
So my older brother is a big influence on my life, a big positive influence on my life. He's about 9 years older than me. And first we started our lifting journey together, just normal bodybuilding, going to gym, don't know what you're doing, just trying every machine. This was when I was about 17 or 18.
Yeah.
And then we stumbled across someone that was at our gym, and he said, you guys are big boys, like genetically, you guys are real big boys. You should come down to this powerlifting gym. We went down to that powerlifting gym. We did powerlifting for about a year. We did a comp and did pretty well at those comps. I took a national record for the teenagers. Then after that, I got injured. So I had an injury that had to put me out of squatting and deadlifting.
How shit is that, man?
Oh, mate.
I feel so vulnerable with an injury.
Yeah.
I'm just like, life's moving past me. It's
Yep.
the most
It's the
depressing thing, getting an injury, actually.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that opened my eyes to strongman, because there's a lot of events in strongman that I could do that weren't causing me pain.
Interesting. All right.
But things like deadlift and squat was. So there was things I was working around it. And that's what made me fall in love with strongman. I did a comp, my first comp in 2020. I won that one. And just from there, I've stayed with it, basically.
Yeah, and I guess clearly you're good at it. So it's kind of like, do the thing you like. And I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how much, I mean, tough to say, but as much as you love something, if you're not that good at it,
Yeah.
you probably need to stop as well. So it matters
Yeah.
that you're actually good at it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I guess with the actual strength element, is there a like physiological trade-off? Like, are you losing mobility? Do you have issues with your joints, flexibility? What do you need to give to take strength?
Well, there's a very famous saying. They say, if you want to be healthy, don't compete.
Oh, okay.
And that's with nearly any sport, because competing, you're demanding the absolute peak from your body when it's not really necessary. If you want to be happy, if you want to be, if you want to be healthy and happy, go live in the mountains and meditate.
Yeah.
And eat very minimally and fast a lot.
Yeah.
If you want to be healthy, don't compete. That's what they say.
Okay. Yeah.
So you'll always have to sacrifice something, but there's ways to control it. So, for example, you said mobility. If you're staying on top of your mobility and you're doing your stretching, I know people who are deadlifting 400 kilos and squatting near that, and they can do the splits.
Wow.
And they've got six-pack. And they're stronger than me. And I can't do the splits.
Yeah.
And they're a lot leaner than me. So, like, he obviously stays on top of his mobility. That's one thing. You know what I mean? And then in terms of joint pain and knee pain, if you look after your tendons, and this is from a physio perspective, and you grade your strength at a linear rate without jumping too hard, and you have a really structured program, your tendons and your knees and your joints, they adapt to the weight you're demanding of it. You just got to do it at a controlled scale and in a smart way. Make sure you're sleeping and you're eating right. And those things all play. And injuries do happen. Like, they happen with any sport. Like, one of the highest injury rates are runners. Runners get the most injuries.
Right.
The lower body injuries, just marathon runners and things like that.
Knees and stuff.
And hamstring tears. And so everything's going to have injuries in it, but you can control it.
Yeah.
So you do have to give a bit of your health, but you can control how much of that goes away.
Yeah. And you
You're
can
disciplined.
break anyone you want. So
Yeah, pretty much, So I do MMA as well on the side as a side
Oh,
thing.
really? Yeah,
And
yeah.
my strength helps a lot with that. Work when it comes to ground game and grappling and whatnot.
That'd be aggressive as.
Yeah.
God damn. Watch out.
Yeah.
Fucking look out. Yeah.
It's intense, but I'll do that more as my cardio thing.
Yeah, right.
But I definitely feel the transfer of strongman into things like when it comes to ground game and coming for a takedown, or being in a clinch when you're doing knees and punching each other.
Yeah.
So
Do you rely on it though? Because I'm pretty strong, or I'm alright, but relatively strong. Or I get told I'm decently strong when I'm training with someone, and I really fall back on my strength, in lieu of technique. Do you feel like you do that as well?
100%.
Okay, yeah. So
100%. And it's not a good thing either.
It's not either, yeah.
Because you start skipping out on technique.
Yeah.
Because you're relying on your strength and you can get away with it. But if you're versing someone who has a way more technique, you're going to get wrecked.
Yeah. How's your stamina actually?
It's getting better.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's getting better. And because strongman, you do have to have some degree of cardio for running events and endurance events. Like, we have things like sandbag carries where you got to carry it for as long as you can, hold on your chest, you can barely breathe. Yeah. We do have a cardio training component compared to like just powerlifting, where it's just one lift and that's it. But it could be better, obviously.
Yeah,
and
of course.
That's why I do the MMA. I do that like once or twice a week just to improve my fitness, and because it's a hobby that I really like.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever compete in it fully. Don't never say never, but
yeah. Well, MMA is too much for me. Like, it's one of them things that why get your head battered in?
Yeah.
Obviously, other than training, jits even is more understandable. But yeah, it's a bit. I think the beauty of MMA though is it's very situational. So it's kind of like, all right, you're up against the wall. What do you do? How do you posture? Do you know what I mean? But you can't go into it expecting to learn. You kind of need to know something and bring it into MMA. I don't think they make you excel in a certain field, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's your experience as well, but
I mean, I'm not that deep into it.
Yeah, fair. Okay.
You know what
yeah.
I mean? I'm not that deep into it to try and see how far I can go with
Right,
it and
right,
stuff like
right,
that. So, like I said, I do it more as a casual thing. Just get some cardio in. I like watching it a lot as well.
Yeah, all right.
And what's better than watching it is actually doing it.
Yeah,
It's more fun.
Bro, when I started doing it, I instantly became the annoying, like if we're watching the UFC with the boys, I'm like, yeah, he's trying to go for a double leg there, you know?
It's just start breaking it down.
No one asked, unsolicited, no one cares. I'm just like, yep, he's got to, just trying to contribute where I can.
It's good. Like my coach always tells me, fighting's like chess.
Yeah.
And I'm a big chess fan as well. I like chess a lot. So you see what someone's going to throw and you try and foreshadow it and then counter. And that could mean winning of a fight. If you slip a punch, for example, and come with a counter and then they get knocked out. Yeah. So it's a very, very beautiful art. I actually like it a lot. And it's very useful. I'm not saying that I get into fights a lot, but if I ever did, I'd have that confidence in myself to be like, I know how to handle myself. Or if I'm with my family and something was to happen on the street, I have that confidence, and my family would have that confidence that we're protected. Yeah. So it's a very thing, and I truly believe every man should learn to fight.
100%.
They have to know it. Yeah. No matter how safe of a country you live in, and no matter how safe your neighborhood or your suburb is, it's always something that you need to know, and it's better to have and not need.
Than need and not have.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I 100% agree with that. And I think those who actually, unless you're a bully and a tyrant, those who have actually learnt the discipline of MMA and have been humbled in a, fighting gym, know when you get into a potentially confrontational situation, I feel like most fighters are the ones that are less likely to start swinging because they know how much shit can hit the fan.
Exactly.
So I 100% agree with that. Yeah. How about your brother? Has he gotten into the fighting as well?
Not so much. Huh? My brother's 6'6" and 160 kilos.
Yeah, right.
He doesn't really have to worry about people picking fights with him. They just look at him and they're like, "Oh, yeah, nah."
Yeah, right.
No. Actually, there's a funny story about that, but I won't disclose.
Probably.
Just in case he doesn't want me to say anything. But yeah, we've wrestled a bit, me and him, just mucking around. And to be honest, he doesn't have much technique, but his sheer strength. If that guy's on top of you, you're not like you're done.
Yeah,
he can do whatever he wants to. Yeah. And, like he's got me in a position where he was on top, and then I couldn't. I'm like, man, I can't move.
Yeah,
I can't breathe. I can't move.
GG.
I'm done. You know what I mean? So someone like him, he likes watching it as well, but he doesn't train it. He's too busy he's focusing fully on strongman.
Yeah, that's good. Do you boys have like a positive competition? Do you said what did you say, mimic or copycat at the start? Is there something deeper in there where you somewhat feel like you're in his shadow? Is that something that you think about or not?
Oh, that's a funny inside joke that happens within my community in Strongman. They all call me Faddy's little brother.
Okay, all right.
So my brother's name is Faddy.
Yeah.
So they don't call me by my name. They're like, oh, that's Faddy's little brother. It's a joke.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't get to me much. It's funny. But our strength levels are actually pretty similar.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's been comps where I've actually beaten him.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, little brother got ya. And obviously there's a lot of comps where he beats me.
Of course, man.
So he's got his strengths. That's why I like strongman because it's very dynamic. He would, for example, have a higher overhead press than me, but I'm faster than him when it comes to a sandbag carry where you got to carry a heavy sandbag to take the other side.
Right.
So, it bridges the gap between strengths. That's why I really like it.
But that's a healthy competition as well. Like,
100%.
Why wouldn't you want your literal or symbolic brothers doing the best they can? And I'd want to be slightly better, but I want them to be the best they can. You know what I mean?
Well, there's a very famous saying, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, there you go.
So we're always trying to beat each other. And then we look at how far we've come trying to beat each other. And we're like ahead of this pack. We're like, wow, look how far we've come. I mean, we started the journey pretty much together. Yeah. And it's been, 5 years now? And we look at the strength and how much we've progressed, and it's amazing. And I don't think I would have that if I wasn't training with my brother.
That's awesome. Is there kind of lessons learned or things you might have done differently going into it? Maybe injury related or just holistically?
Well, I don't really have any regrets because I feel like everything happens for a reason. Nice, for example, one injury I had, a major one, was when I went skiing. I tore my meniscus. And I always used to think to myself saying, I wish I never went skiing. I wish I never went skiing. I know. But alhamdulillah, that's mostly resolved now. And most of my injuries have resolved themselves now. And I feel really grateful for having those injuries because I learned a lot from it. So I don't really have regrets of going skiing or hurting myself here because it was all a learning curve for me. And it's all made me stronger or better in some way. Yeah, you have to have that positive mindset and to always think, what good came out of this? Yeah. So in terms of what I've changed, if I was to first start, like what I tell myself when I was 18, when I first started, was make sure your sleep is right.
Right. Okay.
I should tell myself that now.
Straight out.
Even now, I don't sleep right. Because that's a big component when it comes to strength gain and just overall progression physically. You need to get your sleep right. Yeah. And it's something I'm still working on. That's about it, to be honest. Yeah. Make sure you're sleeping. Keep training. Yeah. You know, if my 18-year-old self could see me now, he'd be amazed.
Awesome, man. So
just the journey, you know, the best that waits you still.
Yeah. And on that thought as well, I agree, man, 100%. Because my somewhat version of it is like, let's say something went horribly wrong or a tragedy or whatever it is, accident, this, that. Even if you could have changed it, for me, when I'm talking to myself, I say, there's no version of reality where you did change it. Like there's no other Bill that did the other thing. That doesn't exist. This is the only existing reality we have. And that version of me just didn't have the tools to make the right move.
Yeah.
So I've just kind of like tell myself, you can kick yourself over it enough to learn a lesson for next time. But I always just ground myself. There's no other version of reality where I did the right thing, So maybe food for thought there, or just throwing it out there because that helps me a lot personally.
Even to bring Islam into it, say maktub, which means everything is written.
Of course,
Our destiny is written. God has willed for us what He's willed. It's all going to happen, and whatever was meant for you will never miss you, even if it's far away from you.
Yeah.
And whatever was not meant for you will never hit you, even if it's between your lips.
Yeah.
It's a famous saying that we have.
Yeah.
So in saying that, you can have good thoughts about your future and about where you're going, as long as you know you're putting in the work for something.
Yeah.
As long as you can self-reflect and be like, I tried, then everything seems to sort itself out rather than stressing about the past or what's happened or what may have happened, like you said. To have that positive mindset, which for me comes from Islam, really helps me.
Yeah, yeah. I guess that's finding the meaning in life as well with all that.
Yeah.
What are the goals with the StrongMan? Is there future prospects for it, or how do you move forward with it?
Right now, I've qualified to do Australia's Strongest Man.
Nice.
Next year in 2025. So that's the highest level comp in Australia.
Yeah.
It's a very tough comp, but I've competed in it 2023 and I came 9th.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
out
nice,
of 11.
man. Yeah.
And then I competed again this year and I came 6th out of 17.
All right. Yeah. So literally the
2025.
It's our year, baby.
First.
Yeah,
That's
straight
our
out, man. That's awesome.
So that's what I'm gunning for.
Yeah.
And then from there, just start moving up. I'd like to make it to World's Strongest Man as well.
Yeah, wow.
Which is the highest level comp. And then there's other comps that are on that level as well. They pay you really well. They give you a lot of recognition. They're pretty rewarding. So while doing other things in my life and pushing my business and self-developing and training, that's another goal I'm pursuing.
Yeah, man.
Get to the highest level of strongman competition.
Right. Is it similar to, like in powerlifting, there's, I don't want to call it a redundancy, but you almost know the other person's PR already. Is there something similar where you know what the goal is that you need to work to?
Well, all right, let's put it like this. In terms of competing with powerlifting, like you said, you know someone else's PR, you see that they're deadlifting or they're squatting however much weight, you're like, all right, it's over. Like, there's only 3 lifts to do here, and I've got to beat him on this, and that, and he's 100 kilos ahead of me.
Yeah.
With strongman, there's more room for error because people can slip when they're running.
Yeah.
People can tear a bicep just trying to pick up a stone.
Throw a banana peel.
Yeah.
As you're running.
An accident might happen. You might get a baseball bat.
Just
knock someone's knee. No,
whoops.
So there's more room for error, which means you can catch up to someone that's technically on paper or on video much stronger than you.
Right, yeah.
And then they stuff up somewhere, and then you be like, all right, I can capitalize on this. He's stronger than me on overhead and stone, but I've kicked his ass on the running event and the grip event.
Right.
And now our points are even. You don't have that much in powerlifting.
Yeah, because
like,
it doesn't attribute like the speed, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
like all those dynamic movements that someone else's body type might be stronger in that regard.
Exactly. Powerlifting is just raw strength for 1 rep, and that's it. There's no endurance aspect. There's not much room for error. Like there's technical errors, but not compared to like strongman where you can miss your footing and you lose by a couple seconds, and that puts you in 3rd place now, and you've lost points.
Now you're sweating. You're like, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot more room for it. There's more events as well. So usually comps are over 2 days, and the highest level comps are over like 3 to 5 days.
Wow, man.
So your body's getting thrashed. Like by day 2, like let's say you have a first day of 4 max effort events. You finish that day, and now your body's cooked, and then you got to go the next day, and the first event is a max deadlift after your back's just been cooked.
Yeah, right.
So like it's like survival of the fittest. Like it really puts you in the ringer, and that's why people get injured a lot. It's much more intense. It's much more intense, and I really like it because of that, because it gives you room to catch up on things and be like an all-around athlete.
Yeah. That's full on.
Yeah.
Shit, man.
That's pretty extreme. I love it.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because you added like a whole element to it of like it goes over distance and time as well.
Yeah.
So it just a whole factor of who's actually, you could be the best, but are you surviving over the days?
Yeah.
That's a whole other question.
A good way to picture it for people who don't know strongman so much is CrossFit with heavy ass weight. That's pretty much it.
with right. Yeah,
That's pretty much it. You see CrossFit, they're doing all this weird stuff and running here and jumping there and doing this and running to that. That's strongman, but with much heavier weight.
So CrossFit for men.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
I said it.
Yeah, the alpha CrossFit.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it.
So what are the chances you and your brother are both, good at it? Do you feel like the genetics have played a part in it?
I definitely feel like genetics have a role in terms of how fast you progress. But like they say, genetics doesn't beat talent. And talent doesn't work hard.
Genetics doesn't beat talent when talent does. Yeah, all right.
There's another way to say it. I'm butchering it.
No. I hear that.
Hard work beats talent.
I've heard that one.
And talent doesn't work hard.
Right.
That is very, very true. So
yeah.
Genetics will get you so far. You can be, ahead. Let's say you have bigger arms or bigger shoulders. Personally, me and my brother, we've always had big frames.
Yeah,
we get that from my dad. We've always had a bit of height and bigger frames, even before we started lifting. So that helped with things. Obviously, we build muscle really fast.
Yeah, right.
And we can lose weight really fast and gain weight really fast. So it's like the opposite of a hard gainer.
Yeah.
But that also means you can get really fat really quick.
Yeah.
Definitely helps, but it won't get you far.
Of course. But there is a starting point element because the fact that it's both of you just makes it so interesting as well, Yeah. So saying, it's a starting point genetics, but then obviously you got to put the work in essentially.
Pretty much.
Can someone work there without the genetics though? Can they make their way up to there?
Yes, but let's put an example in Strongman. For example, stone carry. What helps with that is height because you got to lift the stone over like a platform and put it over. So if you're taller, you don't have to extend so much to get that stone over.
Right.
You can come up to your waist or just under
You're
your
doing
chest.
half the fucking work.
Pretty much. So things like that would help. But then when it comes to deadlift, you got a much more of a range to pull up compared to the shorter guy. So it's hard to just sit there and say, it's because of my genetics I can't do this, or it's because of the genetics I got beat. It's better off to just play with the cards you were dealt and just go all in with it and see where you end up.
Yeah.
That's how I can say it. Because I've seen people with insane pressing genetics, for example. They're just pushing 200 bench press like nothing, trained maybe 2 years. It's ridiculous. But life takes them another way and they become lazy and then they just leave the sport and become forgotten.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, you never hear of them again.
But how sad is that? Or like people who have just either had potential or were just living normal lives. I've seen so many people just go off the fucking rails. And then I'm just like, you could have been, man. You could have been so much, but sometimes people just can't handle life, I guess.
Yeah, and to each their own. Everyone chooses their path. But like I said, sometimes people will, let's say they get married or they have kids or a new job opportunity or they move countries, and it just takes them down another path, and you never know what they could have been in terms of their athletic potential because they never pursued it, even though they had the best genetics.
Yeah.
So you'll just never know.
Yeah. So you think, let's say someone, you couldn't, I like to give people some benefit of doubt in that somewhat what I said earlier, I couldn't have changed a certain thing. A part of me feels like if someone's on a bad path, and me and Dad argue about this all the time, I kind of believe like they're destined to be on a bad path. And my dad's more like, no, like you have a soul, you know what good and bad is. There's no argument to be made. Everyone knows what good and bad is. Where would you land?
Well, the beautiful thing about it is no one knows their destiny. So you could have the most heinous person, the most piece of shit, drug addict, whatever it may be, stuffed everyone over, and then the guy's 60 years old and just does a complete turnaround and does a lot of good for the world.
Yeah.
And he made it, and then he dies at 80 as a hero, as an example. No one knows what that destiny was besides God. No one knows where his future was going to lead. So I don't really believe that someone can't be changed. It just happens to be what the will of God is.
Yeah.
And humans don't know the will of God. So you can't say this is my will and this is my destiny and that's it, because you don't know that.
Yeah, of course.
So I don't really accept that as an excuse to be like, no, this is the way I am and this is the way it has to be and I have no choice over it, because you can't control your destiny, but you don't know your destiny.
Yeah.
You see what I'm trying to say?
Somewhat, but I guess could you clarify the choice element? Is there a choice to change your life?
100%.
Yeah, okay.
100%.
Okay.
And I'll answer from a Islamic perspective. So there's jinn and there's angels and there's humans. So the difference between angels and humans is that the angels don't have free will, but the humans do.
Right, yeah.
So humans always have free will to be able to choose whether they want to do something bad, whether they want to do something good. Deep down, people know what's good and bad morally.
Yeah.
Like even if you're not a Muslim, just anyone from any religion knows what's good and bad. And everyone has free will to choose what they want to do when it comes to a crossroads of decisions. and they can go from there. So for someone to say they don't have a choice or the choice is
Yeah,
not
yeah,
theirs,
yeah. It is a bit of a cop out.
I don't really accept it. I feel like it's cope.
Yeah.
So that's my belief on it.
Yeah, man. Nice. When you think of strength, what does strength mean to you? Like, you're so closely linked to strength. Even me, when I feel my strength, it's like a weird driving force, like a controlling force, an imposing force. There's something I love about that. Yeah. How do you view strength, and do you think it's linked to leadership specifically?
100%.
Okay.
And I'll ask you, who doesn't want a strong leader? If you think of a leader, let's say of a country, or of a soccer team, or of the leader of a gym, who doesn't want to look at that leader and be like, I want that person to be strong.
Yeah.
Even from a female's perspective, they want to look at their boyfriend or their husband to be someone who's strong.
Yeah.
So they can feel protected. Even a mother wants to have their son being a strong man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever it may be. A son wants to look at a father wants to look at his son and be like, my son is strong. And vice versa. Kids want to look at their father and be like, my dad's strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a saying that goes, strength is never a weakness, and weakness is never a strength. Basically meaning there's nothing bad that can come from being stronger. And it doesn't have to only be physical strength. It could be mental strength, it could be spiritual strength, and physical strength as well. There's only good to come from it.
Yeah.
And it matters how you use it as well.
Yeah.
Like everything, it's a tool. Someone can use their strength in an abusive way or a bad way.
Yeah.
And overpower people and oppress people. Or they can use it to protect the ones they love.
Yeah.
So everything's a double-sided blade.
Double-edged sword. Yeah. It's, I guess, what's the importance of community to you? I've seen you very involved, especially in Ramadan as well. It seems like you're helping a lot with those kind of things. Yeah, I guess, what does family mean to you, and what's its role been in your life, community?
Everyone wants to talk about fixing the world, healing the world, making the world a better place. Where that starts from is, number one, yourself. Then after that, your immediate family. And then after that, your community.
Yeah.
So if you go in those levels of everything, it expands to the whole world.
Yeah.
Because from community it goes to society, then it goes to nation, then it goes, and so on. So me being involved with my community and my family and trying to put something positive into it is very important to me, because I feel like I'm doing something good. I'm putting something positive out there. I'm making a change.
Yeah.
And from an Islamic perspective as well, it's very, very encouraged, or it's actually obligatory to be very well in tune with your community, with your family, not cutting ties, helping each other out. And I truly believe if all humans took that approach, we'd see world peace, we'd see the world thriving, and everything would just sort itself.
Yeah, you're just helping your brother, you're just helping everyone out.
Yeah, and without expecting things in return as well.
Yeah.
Just trying to help for the sake of helping. Because if everyone had that mindset, then think about how there wouldn't be much conflict.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There wouldn't be much world hunger. There's enough food in the world. There's enough money in the world.
Yeah.
So starting with your family, then going to the community, it just fixes everything. The trick is having everyone on board with that.
Yeah, yeah. I was, because I made comment earlier that I find myself kind of coming in and out of the community as well. That's just been my experience though. I don't know what it was, but growing up, it almost felt sometimes a lot. You know what I mean? Just the community in general. So my experience has been in and out, but it's kind of good hearing you say that perspective of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Yeah. All right, I got some controversial ones coming up.
Let's go.
Why do you feel or think Muslims are so divided?
With every religion, there's division. So let's say, take the history of Europe, for example. One of the most brutal continents or most brutal areas of the world where there's been so much sectarian violence, whether it be the Vikings attacking the Christians or the Christians attacking the other denominations of Christians, and everyone trying to put their idea on something. There's always going to be sectarianism.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, that's also present in Islam, and there's all these different sects, and everyone thinks that they're right, and they want to impose their idea on someone else. So violence is certain, or violence is guaranteed to ensue.
Yeah, yeah. I guess, yeah.
And that's been happening for years with Islam.
Yeah.
And it's happening even now in the Middle East. Now, there's also the foreign interventions.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've heard the phrase divide and conquer.
Of course.
When a foreign nation wants to take over a nation, the best thing they can do is have those people fight amongst each other to weaken the nation itself. You look at the British Empire, what they did to India. You look at Sykes-Picot, what France and Britain did to the Middle East after the Ottoman Empire collapsed. So there's that element of it as well. And they will always try and keep everyone fighting, to keep them distracted. You look at America right now, and you look at the division between the left and the right, and how much infighting, and then the races. All that has a purpose.
Yeah,
all that has a purpose because you weaken the people, you distract the people, and then the people who really run the world are behind the scenes doing what they want.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess, I don't know. Part of me wants to add, though, could that be applied to Syria now? Without maybe diving too deep if it's contentious, but just reading the comments and the thought as well was kind of like, is this not a window where, regardless of your view or the potential facts, right? Is this not a window for the, I guess, implied plan of where Israel was trying to go with the things in Palestine, and then it went Lebanon, and then as soon as that stopped, a day after, everything kicked off. Again, I don't want to make it a personal element, but kind of just viewing it in that sense sequentially, do you think there was a divide and conquer element there as well? Could we be playing into it?
How do you mean when it comes to what happened with Israel, how Israel's involved?
Well, I'm saying it went from like Israel, Palestine, as soon as the Hezbollah and Israel stopped, it just kicked off in Syria instantly. Yeah. I'm just saying, I've read comments online that are implying that basically it might be linked. Could there be a link there to that divide and conquer element or no?
Well, there's other ways to look at it. So the way I could see it, or the way I see it, is that it's military strategy.
Yeah, right.
So the rebels, who have just recently taken over, they've been the underdogs for the past 10 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And them seeing all the infighting between Hezbollah fighting against Israel.
Yeah. There's like a weakened,
and Syria also being attacked. They've seen the weakening.
Yeah.
And they've seen an opportunity to take back everything, and they did within a week. Right. Now, that's happened throughout many battles in history where they will have other bigger nations fight each other and then see that opportunity and be like, all right, let's go in.
Yeah, gotcha.
I can see that as strategy.
Fair enough. Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
You look at even in Islam, when the Persians were conquered, it was because they were fighting the Romans. So the Persians and Romans were fighting a lot, and the Muslims were in the middle.
Yeah.
And the Muslims were actually more inclined to the Romans because they treat them better than the Persians would have treated them.
Right.
Once that weakening was happening, Khalid ibn Walid came out and just conquered them instantly.
Yeah, gotcha.
So that's how I could see it. In terms of deeper politics, I'm not 100% versed on everything. I know there's deeper games to be played. There always is. Nothing's ever black and white, especially in the Middle East and Middle Eastern politics. There's always foreign powers involved. There's always someone moving a chess piece and the pawns being civilians, and they get wiped out, unfortunately, because the bigger pieces are, they have bigger goals at hand at the expense of civilian life. And that's what we've seen in Syria. That's what we're seeing.
The Middle East. Yeah.
That's what we've seen in Lebanon. That's what we've seen in Iraq.
Yeah.
That's what we've seen everywhere.
Yeah. But I guess can we dive in a bit more? I agree that it has always been an element of division in Islam, specifically Islam. It's like we know between each other, everyone kind of somewhat feels it. Yeah, there is an other. What is that? Is it simply we're holding on to the politics of previous times, or is there something fundamental about the different sects of Islam that's actually like distinguishing them?
Well, the core message of Islam is Tawheed, which is the oneness of God, and then the following of his prophet, his last prophet, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I think if you have those two core beliefs, and you worship Allah without partnership, so without shirk, so him alone, and don't attribute anyone or any person or any figure towards being close to his level, and then you follow what the prophet has said, I think from there, minds are pretty unified. Where it comes into division is people's interpretation of history.
Yeah.
So they say this person should have had power, and this conflict happened, and that person was usurped, and this is from 1400 years ago.
Yeah.
And people carry that into today's day and age. But with that rising of tensions and emotions, other powers use that to pit people against each other.
Right. Exactly.
It comes back to divide and conquer. You keep the Middle East fighting each other, let's say with Iran and Iraq, back when Saddam was around, and Syria and Lebanon and Palestine and Saudi Arabia and Yemen. You keep everyone fighting each other. You got this resource-rich country for everyone to come in and take
a lot of oil.
To take what they want for the sake of freedom, or for the sake of liberating, or for the sake of fighting terrorists.
Democracy
manifest. Democracy manifest. Let's go give those people some freedom.
Yeah.
Then you start to ask questions. You be like, how much of this sectarianism are they pushing for their own benefit rather than from a religious perspective?
Yeah, yeah.
So you go from a religious perspective, because like I said, the religion, it's pretty simple. Tawheed of Allah, the oneness of God, and following his last and final messenger.
Yeah.
And that's about it. But then the history, the rising tensions, the emotions, use that as ammunition to have people fight each other and keep them weak.
Yeah, of course.
The Muslims ruled the world for a long time, or most of the world, through the Ottoman Empire, through even some of the Iranian empires, even before that, the Rashidun Khilafah, the Abbasi Khilafah. There was a time where the Muslims were very, very strong, and I think the people don't want to see that happen again, like in terms of Europe and whatnot, because they know how strong they are when they're unified.
Yeah, yeah.
And they don't want to see that. So they want to keep them divided and weak and keep them at bay and just rape all their resources out.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can say that word.
No, that's right. We're not sponsored yet, so we're all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess have you experienced it on a personal level, this kind of othering? I feel like I somewhat did, but I personally couldn't relate to it as much because I didn't feel it in my experience, if that makes sense. I guess like we're living in a different time as well, where I guess back in the day or overseas, it was a lot more, I guess, serious. Where, I don't know why though. If you are a different kind of Islam, you're not us. And I could never figure that out. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know what that was, and I guess that's what I really wanted to get to here as well. Is like, is the answer politics? Is that the bottom line basically? Like,
I think there's a mix of both politics, with people who aren't Muslim trying to put their claws in and use our fighting amongst each other to their advantage. Yeah, but also people within the religion and infighting because this group thinks they're right and that group thinks they're right. Yeah. And that's how every war of the world has happened. Yeah. No matter what religion, no matter what race, you had this group that said, no, we're right. And we want to rule this place. And then this group that said, no, we believe this and we want to rule this place. Let's go to war. The strongest one comes out on top. Yeah. It really comes down. Like, it's not as simple as that, but it kind of is. Yeah. When it comes to influence of a nation. Let's say Genghis Khan. We're going there. We're taking everything you want. And we don't care what you believe or what you think is right or what you think is humane. We have more weapons than you, we have more people than you, and we're stronger than you. And we're going to do what we want with it.
Yeah, and then the story comes after the fact. The narrative gets laid on top of like the landscape that's already kind of...
And history is always written by the victors.
Yeah, exactly.
So you even look back at World War I and World War II, and you got to remember all the history you're reading on that is by the victors.
Yeah.
You never hear the other side of things. You never hear Russia's side of things. You never hear Germany's side of things. You hear the Allies and the victory, and we're living in the West as well. Because you will notice that when you go to the Middle East and you go to Eastern countries, you'll see the interpretation of history is very different to what we've been taught here in the West. Very different. Very different perspectives. Very different ideas of who was a good guy and who was a bad guy. So who's right?
Yeah.
The victors.
Yeah, fair. And that's like, I've been asked in the past, would you go overseas to fight for your country? And that's always been something that, growing up, I always struggled with that because I'm like, wait, this is my country, but that's my people. It's just always been an interesting thought experiment. My response is always has been, no, my family is here. So if someone comes to our borders, then yes, I'll defend my family here. Yeah. Have you experienced any, I guess, tension in values? Us being born in the West, having Western values, but being Muslim as well. There's like similarities, but when there's differences, have you struggled with any of that?
Do you mean like a clash between what our Islamic values are and what the Western values are?
I meant almost more on a political level, but that's a deeper level. Yeah, that's even better. The Islamic and Western values.
Okay, if you're talking political level, then obviously you'd see that Australia, for example, is always inclined with what the Western powers agree with. So what UK agrees with, what the US, Big Daddy US agrees with, Australia will just run behind that and be like, yep, whoever US says is the bad guys, is the bad guys. Whoever says they are the good guys, that's the good guys. Yeah. Where that gets flipped on its head is that we're Middle Eastern. And we've seen what the West has done to our countries for their own interests. Yeah. And us living in the West, you look at the news, and I was always taught this as a kid, and you look at how they show you one side of things. And they always push an agenda saying, these are the bad guys. It's as simple as this. We're liberating everyone. So when it comes to political values, you look at it and then you be like, what's really going on here?
But the part that fucks me is like, I say what is going on here, but then I'm here thriving off democratic Western values as well. And that's where I personally have this kind of tension of like, that's what I meant on political level. I disagree with a lot that's happening, but then I'm benefiting off the fruits of their mindset.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
100%
I
makes
personally have this like identity almost crisis sometimes
Yeah.
when I think a lot of things through as well.
I'd urge you to look at the history of Islam in its golden ages. And you could see how prosperous a nation was, an Islamic nation was, when they had a proper empire established, which we haven't had for over 100 years
Yeah.
due to the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. And then compare how they lived and how wealthy they were and how the living standards were compared to Europe during the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
One was Western powers and Western influence, and one was Islamic. And a lot of the time, the West and the Europe and all that were benefiting off what the Islamic empires were discovering.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're talking like 1600s, 1700s, Islamic Golden Age, Andalusian Empire, which was in Spain, the Andalusian, which was the Islamic Caliphate of Spain.
Right.
A lot was
Yeah. There's
so
quite a bit there, yeah.
yes, at this stage, of course, we are in a better position, and I love Australia, and it's the best place to be right now, the most safest place to be, where we can practice our religion freely. But you also got to remember where we come from, and what you're thinking may be a lower standard of living, which it is, like it's a third world country, has been ravaged by war,
Exactly.
has been ravaged by higher powers coming in for their own interests at the
Yeah.
expense of the people because it's resource rich, and it wasn't always like that.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's the part that fucks me the most is when like I would go to Syria because I have been back in the day before, and again, not to go into that, but all I know is before anything happened, or just Middle East before anything happened, it was just beautiful, man. Like people were just walking females felt like they could walk at 2 a.m. basically, and there was like a safety element because there was such a strong community element to it as well. But nah, it's weird. We're living in a different time for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the Middle East was very beautiful up until not so long ago. And unfortunately, you don't see much of that because it's just been ravaged by war.
Yeah.
Lebanon was beautiful. Still
Exactly.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
Syria was beautiful. Well, Iraq was producing some of the most educated people in terms of academically.
Yeah.
Their universities. Egypt, Al Azhar as well. The university was producing some of the best professionals. But like I said, political tensions and war just throws that all out of the window, makes a bunch of refugees who have nowhere to go. And unfortunately, those are the people who suffer. And the ones who suffer the most are the ones who had nothing to do with what happened.
Yeah.
That's the brutal reality of war.
It almost feels like, it's become such a political tool now, even through social media. Has it changed for you growing up? Do you feel like Islam was somewhat different when you were younger to now? Is there something like a kind of shift happening, or it's been pretty consistent for you across?
Well, when I was younger, I didn't understand politics, didn't understand the world, and I still don't fully understand the world. But you understand a little bit more and about the reality of life and how cruel the world can be. So once you grow up and you understand that, it makes you think, hasn't the world always been like this?
Yeah.
Maybe just as kids, we're so innocent, just focusing on our PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 1.
And it was more like our idea, the family,
exactly,
you know. Like
you don't really, life's more simple. You don't think about all these things.
Yeah.
Whereas now, it's the brutal reality that we have to face that the world is politics. So people who say they're not interested in politics. Politics is the world you live in.
Bro, I hate it, but man.
Yeah, you have to know
I
politics.
know.
Yeah,
I never wanted to.
Not to the point where you have to jump on a side and talk so much about it, but you have to know because eventually it does affect you.
Yeah.
When legislation is passed, when a new party comes into power,
Right.
it does affect you in some way, and to be aware of it is always better than to just be an ostrich that puts its head in the sand.
Yeah. But it's gone too far in a sense that it's basically everything is politicized though. You know what I mean? Like basic things. Medicine got politicized. Every concept, school got politicized as well. You know what I mean? State schools, it's like they're clearly indoctrinating kids as well. I don't think there's any way back from that though. It's almost like it's just been hijacked by social media, I feel like.
Well, it's the world we live in now.
Yeah.
And the only way to get through it is to be adaptable. So like what you said with medicine being politicized and all these different agendas that they're trying to push on kids.
Yeah.
The best way to go about it, I believe, is that to have your moral ground and hold firm onto that, and to try and avoid you veering off and going into something else that doesn't align with your morals. No matter what, no matter how bad people try and make you feel for wanting to hold on to those morals, if they feel like to you that's the truth, you stick with that and you keep your family on that, no matter how many people try and inject your family or you with ideas that come from them.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I see it.
Hey, not your thoughts.
That's it. Name of the podcast.
We come full circle.
That's
No, I 100% agree with that. Yeah, yeah. I want to ask you about Surat al-Kafirun. Do you know much about that surah, or?
I do.
Yeah. What's your opinion on that surah? I feel like that, as I understood it, was at the core of unifying Islam. Could it potentially be controversial or not? Or I'd just like your opinion on that surah.
Well, that surah was more revealed to people who are non-Muslim,
Mm.
and it was a way to distinguish the people who are not Muslim. You're going to believe what you believe,
Yep.
and we're going to believe what we believe. And then the last verse of that is lakum dinukum waliya din.
Yeah, right.
To you is your din, and to us is our din, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
So another ayah or another verse in the Quran that comes to mind is lasta alayhim bimusaytir, which means saying to the Prophet, you are not over them an enforcer.
Okay.
So I feel like that more applies to people who are not Muslim, and you can't enforce your beliefs on them.
Yeah, yeah.
You can enforce laws on them. Everywhere has laws. Every country has laws that you have to follow.
Yep.
The laws that you follow in Australia are different to the laws you follow in UAE, for example.
Yeah.
Where you can't have a public display of affection. Same as in Asia. In Singapore, if you litter, you go to jail.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
No gum spitting. Yeah.
Yeah, things like that.
Yeah.
But that verse particularly, I don't see it as a way to unify Muslims themselves. It's more so to distinguish the non-Muslims from the Muslims.
Right.
You have your beliefs, we have our beliefs. A way that it can unify us is that say we have our beliefs. So if we are as Muslims together,
Exactly. Yeah.
then yes,
Yeah.
I see that as a unifying
So
factor.
that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
Is like with that sort of existing, I don't understand how there's any room to have internal conflict. Is the
Yeah.
point I was trying to make there? Sorry.
Well, that's where time and political events have changed everything. Because
Right.
when Islam first came down, the Muslims were all unified.
Okay.
And it was after the death of the Prophet, once they all came into power, that there was different power grabs and power struggles. And this ruler said, no, I should be in power, and that one should be in that power. And then there was huge infighting between the Muslims themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where it all went downhill, basically.
Right.
But at the same time, I believe everything happens for a reason. And God has a plan for everyone. And God has a plan for the whole written out history of the world. And everything comes full circle.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you missed a year of fasting for Ramadan?
No,
No.
Nah.
Wow.
not as long as I can remember. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
So what does Ramadan mean to you? What's the beauty of it? Why do you fast?
Well, number one, as Muslims, we have to. So that's like one of the rules. And what it means to me is it's basically the most spiritual month of the year. It's the month in which the Quran was revealed to the Prophet. That's why it's such a blessed month. And it's a month where we have to fast for 30 days from sunrise to sunset, and that's including no water.
Yeah.
People should freak out. No water.
I know, it's always the white people.
No
They're like,
water,
what
yeah.
do you mean no water?
No water. How you doing that, mate? Yeah, so no water.
And then they
no
start
food.
like drinking in front of you. and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
bro.
Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry. So
Well, yeah.
yeah, it's my favorite month of the year.
Yeah.
Because it's a massive.
Very same. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a massive spiritual reset.
Yeah.
And it's a time where I can take my focus off worldly things and just focus on worshiping God as much as I can and getting closer with my God, speaking to God like as if I'm having a normal conversation, pouring my heart out, asking for what I want, and just you feel that real deep spiritual connection. There's a lot of brotherhood and a lot of community that happens because we've got something called Tarawih prayers, which is a congregational prayer that happens every night. So you see all the boys, you see everyone from the town, from the community come together. We all eat together, we break fast together. It's just a beautiful thing overall. You feel great from fasting. Like fasting has its many health benefits.
100%, yeah.
You just feel that detachment from food and that you realize you don't need food as much
As you think,
as you
yeah.
think,
And you
yeah.
realize we, especially here in the West, we don't experience hunger. Like, and only in Ramadan am I like, oh, and that's how I was raised as well, or a thought I've been told is, until you've experienced someone else's pain, you're not likely to empathize.
Yep.
So once we've felt hunger, in Ramadan, I am more willing to give because I'm like, oh man, like, is this how it is?
Yeah,
You know,
it really makes you appreciate what you have.
yeah, man, yeah.
That first sip of water.
Alhamdulillah, that first sip of water, bro.
Man, that feels like crystals going down your throat, man. It's the best thing ever.
It literally is. It actually is. It's a prayer. It's a meditation, man. And I think, yeah, personally, that's what gets me as well. And the reset, that reset. What I struggle with though is when people are like extreme deviants throughout the year and then wear in holiness through the month of Ramadan. So I can appreciate that yes, it's a reason to reset, and it's in Ramadan you kind of have a moment to actually, you know, center. But I don't like the mindset of like, I can do anything I want throughout the year, and like I'll get the hasanat, it's fine in Ramadan. Yeah. So I just want to put that out there. I feel like that's something I've experienced as well with just mates or boys, and I'm like, man, each to their own, of course, but it's something that you're not going into Ramadan consciously. I feel like if you're using it as just a window out of your bad behavior, basically.
Yeah.
So
we all know that one person who'll just lock in when it's Ramadan time, but then during the rest of the year is an absolute devil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, in saying that, I don't ever see myself as one to judge.
Yeah.
Because I myself am not perfect.
Of course.
You never know what someone's doing behind the scenes, whether it be good or bad.
Yeah.
You never know this person you see that doesn't practice much, is doing everything against Islam, and then when the month comes, they start practicing. You never know what they're doing. They could be given so much charity they don't talk about. They could be helping so many people or through struggles that you don't know about.
Good point. Yeah.
You don't know. So, and it's always good to see someone come back to the religion or come back to getting closer with God rather than not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I see that person, it's better that they come for that 1 month and lock in a spiritual sense rather than just completely ignore it and stay the same throughout the years.
100%.
So, I try and see the positive in it. It's no good, obviously. Like it could be better. And sometimes it could look hypocritical.
Yeah.
Like this person is off his head the whole time and then, all right, lock in now only for that 1 month. But like I said, it's better than just not. I know people who just don't fast at all. Sometimes it's just like, I can't be bothered. It's too hard.
Yeah,
I love my ciggies, you know, because you can't smoke when you
a lot with the ciggies.
Yeah. So like I say, like, look, at least this person's making a sacrifice. Like it's obviously hard for him or her to put that sacrifice aside and really try and please God. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's the reason to actually reset as well. So
you never know, that 1 month might be that time where that person's like, I'm going to make a change of my life.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop this. I'm going to stop that. I'm going to stop doing all these sins.
I've stopped bad habits, like, because alhamdulillah, Ramadan, I'll stop my bad habits. Because, I'm not trying to act righteous as well. I'm definitely guilty of what I just claimed. But I think I don't come at it with this righteousness as I've noticed some other people do. But I definitely use Ramadan, alhamdulillah, the month to just have a purifying reset. And it's awesome when Ramadan ends and then I hold on to the new good routine for like a month or two, and then I'm back. and then we're back.
Then it runs out.
It runs out.
It runs out. I guess my spiritual juice.
All the spiritual juices are gone. But no, I completely I love it so much, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. And I endorse it, man, to even non-Muslims as well. I go, you don't understand the benefits. Like just approach it, just try it.
I have non-Muslim friends who participate in Ramadan with me.
Wow,
and a lot of them are actually starting to look more into Islam and asking me more. And
interesting, yeah.
They're at the point where they want to convert, but they're on that
revert.
Yeah, they want to revert, and they're on that ledge where they just, you don't want to push them, you don't want to force them, you just let them come and ask questions, and you be there to support them.
Right.
And that started from them trying to participate in fasting just to see what it feels like, and they felt really good.
Yeah.
And they felt like it was hard. It was very, like, we've been doing it since we were kids.
Yeah, exactly.
We were raised on it. For them, it's the first time. They're like 35 years old, for example. First time ever trying this, no food, no drink, and they're like, wow, this is hard. But then they come to the mosque sometimes. There's like some of my non-Muslim friends, they'll come to the mosque and see the community and see how close everyone is, and then they feel God.
Yeah.
They feel God, and I feel like that's what's lacking in today's age. It's become very godless, especially in the Western world. And, you know, with social media and celebrity culture and all this degeneracy going on, people...
And the family unit under attack. Yeah,
being broken apart.
Yeah.
So everyone has this void in their heart, and they don't know what it is to feel, and they find it's God. It's just it's religion. It's looking towards a creator, finding a purpose. What's the main reason people are depressed? They have no purpose in life.
Yeah.
As Muslims, we know our purpose in life. So it's a very nice breath
of fresh air.
Breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
It's very nice. So,
do you think Arab Muslims have a superiority over non-Arab Muslims?
I've seen that.
I saw that.
I've seen that.
So I thought you meant you seen that.
I've seen
that post.
Oh no.
I saw it as like a post somewhere, and I'm like, that's a good question.
Oh no, I'm not sure about what post you're talking about, but I've seen 100%. I've seen that with my own eyes, where they'll think them being an Arab, they have some type of superiority because the Quran was revealed in Arabic, and the religion or the language of Islam is Arabic, and we pray in Arabic. But there's also hadith, the saying of the Prophet, that no Arab is better than non-Arab, and no non-Arab is better than Arab, except in piety. So accepting how good of a Muslim they are,
Yeah,
or how
right.
good of a person, or
yeah.
how righteous they are. That's the only thing that distinguishes how good of a person is. Not your race, not your color, not your height, nothing. So those people are just ignorant.
Yeah,
There should be no racism in Islam.
yeah,
There can't be.
exactly. But I can understand as well why someone who's been raised with it and can read it in the language will have more of a vision for or a literal understanding of what's going on. So I can see them leading in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. They definitely have an advantage.
Yeah.
Because a lot of non-Arab Muslims have to go learn the language as a second language or even a third language.
Yeah.
Even me, myself, my Arabic is not 100%. I got Arabic. I can speak Arabic and everything and read the Quran and everything, but it could be better.
Of course.
So having that understanding really gives you an advantage. It's just tricky when you start to have arrogance in your heart, thinking you're better than people. Because what was the first sin ever committed by the devil? Arrogance.
Oh.
It was arrogance.
Yes.
Yeah, when he was asked, Iblis, or Satan, was asked to bow down to Adam, the first human, and he goes, "No, I'm better.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm made of fire." So,
Well, it's in line with what you said, but I would have responded with comparison.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's still they still kind of capture each other.
Yeah, he's comparing. The devil's comparing himself, saying, "No, I'm better."
Yeah.
because you made me out of fire. He's made out of clay.
Yeah.
That's literally in Arabic.
But it is arrogance.
It's kibr, which is pride in your heart, thinking you're better. So,
Do you have pride? I'm pretty prideful, man. Like I can definitely be too much sometimes, but
I feel like there's good pride and there's bad pride.
yeah.
So,
yeah.
what do you explain pride as being?
Pride as pride. I think pride is self-love slightly ticking over into arrogance and pride. I'd clump them together. Or pride is like satisfaction in something you identify with, like pride in my work. I'm satisfied and want to show my thing. So I think pride has like a very outward element. So I think in that sense, I'd consider myself prideful, but
well, I'd say that's positive pride.
yeah, right.
That's positive pride. And I'd say negative pride would be arrogance.
Mm.
But positive pride would be like, no, I can't do this because I have too much pride in myself to be doing this disgusting thing.
Yeah.
Or being this degenerate type of person or stuffing this person over.
Yeah.
Because I pride myself in being a good person or a good man or a good Muslim. That's good pride. That's positive pride.
Yeah.
Or I pride myself in being a good father for my family. So I can't let my body get weak and be incapable.
Yeah.
Because
Not provide, yeah.
because I have pride in myself. I'm too proud to be doing that. I feel like that's positive pride.
Yeah.
When it can become negative, when it becomes arrogance, is when you try and put others down purposefully and go out your way to say, no, you're shit, I'm better. And that's arrogance.
Yeah.
Or you're thinking you're too smart to learn something new.
That's a big one.
That's a lot of people like that. So
Yeah.
it's very, very counterproductive.
Yeah.
You think you can't learn anything more. No, I know better, this and that, then you will never grow. That's bad pride. That's negative pride.
I think the beauty of like this podcast is I really get to come into every conversation genuinely, but also get to wear it as well is, hey, just a humble idiot here. Like, please teach me, please explain to me. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's, you mentioned you with podcasts. Yeah. Yeah, is that something that you're interested in, or would you ever consider doing a podcast yourself?
I would.
Oh,
No, it's in the talks,
yeah, actually, yeah,
but it's just whether we can censor ourselves enough.
yeah. All right, there you go.
Because I don't like to censor myself too much. I like to really speak my heart and not have to hide anything and just lay it out on the table, basically.
Yeah,
As long as I know it's not going to negatively influence someone or cause someone to do bad. So I think we'll probably get removed pretty quick.
Yeah, probably, man.
Because YouTube and things like that are very politically correct, where just mentioning certain words will just get you striked or removed. But definitely something I want to do.
Yeah,
I wanna explore.
Man, yeah, I feel like you definitely felt the air shift though when Trump won. I don't know your views on Trump. Do you want to? Is that worth kind of exploring there?
We can talk about Trump.
Well, yeah, because again, no dog in the fight, don't care about him. To be honest, didn't like him most of the time. But then when he did win, there definitely was an element of like, oh wait, common sense is allowed again? Do you know what I mean? That like crazy LGBT situation, like we can throw that shit out again. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like with podcasts now, I think we're about to see him get a lot more racist.
Yeah.
But I'm for it. No.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I'm pretty sure you have a multicultural friend group.
Yeah.
And you will know that there's a lot of friendly joking around racism. Like, everyone does it.
Rightfully so.
Like, anyone that says they don't make racist jokes with their friends and they got a multicultural friend group, they're either liars at heart or they're cowards.
Yeah.
They just don't, they want to say something, but it's in a friendly way. You don't actually think you're better than someone because of their skin color or their race. You just make a funny joke.
Exactly.
And then they make a joke about you for being an Arab, for example. And you're for it. It's banter.
Yeah.
So with Trump winning, obviously all this woke bullshit has been thrown out now because Kamala isn't in power and Biden's out.
Yeah.
And all these people who are under them who think they're pursuing something righteous when they're really not. It's just all shit flipped on its head. Now you're going to start seeing people express themselves more, hopefully in a positive way. There will be a lot of negative racism, violent racism, where like rednecks are knocking out on black people's houses. Come out
I
here.
don't even think that's going to happen, man. Like, I just feel like... But I have also seen the typical suspects comments as well.
What's that?
When like it's like it'd be like
oh, okay, like I wonder what race he was.
No, it'd be like a mother like pregnant and then like the baby comes out and it's like half
black.
Yeah, half black. But then it's like the dad's not around kind of thing. And everyone's like, oh, I want like typical anyway.
Yeah.
With the joke thing though, I feel like, man, at the core of it, really, all it is like intention. Because even with jokes, you can tell when someone's using the like something about you to straight up just disrespect and insult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So people can use that as a means as well. But if it's like genuine, fun, playful banter under the guise of like a feature of a person which happens to be race, then fucking laugh about it. Like if you can't laugh at yourself at something that, because if it's a good joke, it'll have some truth in it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if you can't laugh at that, then fuck me, like what a rough life that you're living.
Yeah.
If it's just like
everyone will be living untrue to themselves.
True.
Because they have to censor themselves when they really want to express themselves in a certain way. But that's where it comes with self-righteousness. People want to think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Or they're a better person because of this. But deep down, you look into the lives of these people and they're not that good people.
Yeah.
They get exposed for some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Especially like leftists and things like that.
I think news reporters. Yeah. It just becomes this like, either you're hiding something or...
Got skeletons in your closet.
Yeah.
Got a cemetery in your closet.
There's a cemetery in the closet, yeah. It's almost becomes this like, I don't know, I feel like, moral high ground where it's like, if you offend, you're wrong, but therefore you can't talk about anything that's true. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I called it, I'm sure it's someone else called it first, like toxic compassion.
Okay.
Where you can be too compassionate, where like, too compassionate would be, oh, little Timmy, you want to wear a dress? I'm compassionate. Sure thing. You can wear that dress. You know what I mean? Like,
you want to chop your dick off?
You want to flop it and chop it?
No worries. Do it.
Do it. Well,
express yourself. Remove a part of your body. It's fine.
Man, I was talking
that's how fucked up it can get.
Bro, you know what's... Like, I was talking to someone close to me and he was going... he was explaining how one of his mates in the past jumped on gear, but in a very ignorant way. And... this guy, he's like, bro, like I need to tell you something to my mate. And then, so they're at the gym. He's told him he's on gear, flashed his titty, and it's a tit, like it's a breast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this guy's just jumped on gear and wasn't made aware of estrogen blockers.
Yeah.
So he's jumped in completely blind and he's developing a fucking boob. That's on a surface level, bro. And we can laugh about it. But now, haha, sure, one of the boys, this, that, you fucked up, lol. Imagine you're 8 years old and both of your mums with purple hair are telling you, honey, you're not in your right body. Don't listen to those bad guys. You're in the wrong body. Trust me. You start dosing these kids up and they're having physiological changes. And now they're actually shifting into a new body. Like, how the fuck? And it's always the two purple-haired lesbians that happen to have like a trans child as well. Yeah. What are the fucking chances of that?
It's absolute insanity.
It's full on, man.
It was being normalized, and it still is being normalized.
Yeah.
But like you said, with Trump coming into power, I think the culture is going to shift
in
a better way in terms of that sense. There's other things I don't like about Trump, but
of course, man. Yeah,
you can't agree with everyone. Like there will always be something you disagree with someone on, but that insanity was starting to get pushed onto people to accept their insanity. So it's one thing to be a crazy fucking weirdo yourself, but then to force me to accept your fucked up beliefs is where it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
And then try and push it on my kids, and then try and push that agenda through public schools. That's when there's a big problem. And that was being pushed. And I think there's a deeper reason for it politically and religiously as well, because a lot of that is godlessness.
Okay.
And it's taking religion out of things. Because when you take religion out of things, you have no standard.
Yeah.
If there's no religion, what's moral? What's correct? If you're not harming someone, technically, you can have sex with your sister. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
I mean,
what's to stop you? Why is it? What makes it morally incorrect?
Morally incorrect.
Without religion.
Without religion, morally incorrect. Less genetic diversity, higher predisposition to a foreign pathogen or like a foreign transmutation, which can affect the child.
Yep.
And if we want to move away from pain and move closer to bliss, I would say morally it's probably bad to increase the likelihood of a kid coming out with a disability.
Fair. What about if I wanted to marry my cat?
Marry your cat. Why is that morally wrong?
Yeah, without religion. What about if the cat is
Boy, it's getting hard, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly. See what I mean? See what I mean? How do you justify it in a way where you're not harming anyone? The cat's pretty happy. It's purring on my lap.
Yeah, it's showing signs. Yeah.
It
when they do the
me.
ass thing,
Yeah, it's asking for it. It's asking for it. I want to have sex with my cat.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that, bro?
Look at these soundproof walls. Clip that one, boys. Clip it.
No, but it's a serious question.
It is
I pose that question to people.
Yeah, it's a moral thought experiment. Yeah.
To people who don't believe in religion, like it's an actual. What's stopping?
Yeah, well, no, it's a good point because, this is the same group of people that's normalizing interspecies sexual dynamics.
Yep.
Hashtag furry or whatever the fuck is going on.
Exactly. And then you go into transgenderism.
Yeah.
And you're advocating for people to remove a part of their body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, my overarching point is that when you have religion, you have standards and you have a benchmark.
Yeah.
And you have morals that you don't veer away from.
Yeah.
It keeps you on the path of righteousness.
Yeah.
It keeps you on the right path. Because without it, it's just all chaotic.
Yeah.
Anything goes. Anything. You don't have that thing to keep you going.
No North Star. There's no
exactly.
way to go.
There's no compass. There's no moral compass.
Yeah.
And for people to say you can have morals without religion, where did morals come from?
Yeah.
Religion.
So what if, because I try genuinely be respectful of people, but also true to reality. And especially with a podcast, it is a public platform. So I don't know who, I want to try connect as many people as I can, yeah. But the thing with the trans thing that I will never grasp is you are from the get-go, not only just an illusion, but you're deceiving from the get-go. You at your core, there's a deception from man to woman. So how am I ever meant to view someone like that in a positive, trusting light if their very identity at its core is this deception?
Yeah, it's almost like, how can I accept you if you can't accept yourself? If you can't accept yourself, if you had to go and get some type of unnatural intervention, for me, and you want me to accept you, you can't even accept yourself.
Yeah.
The highest rates of depression and mental issues are with the transgender community.
Yeah.
If you look at studies for it, and it doesn't come as a shock.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know the facts, but supposedly even post-surgery, it doesn't actually affect suicide rates at all. Is there any scenario where you could see yourself using someone's preferred pronouns, even if it's incorrect?
It depends. Let's say someone looks like a guy, but you're not 100% sure. Say they're clean shaven, so they kind of look like a girl.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And they want to be, considered a girl. Maybe it's a girl with short hair.
Okay.
But if I 100% know that it's a man with a beard, and they say call me a she, I'll probably just laugh in their face.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck you on about?
Yeah, it's at least put more effort.
They got a full-fledged freaking Arab beard like mine. Or even it comes to the other cooked pronouns like they, them.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, see, I learned to use they in a scenario. So I used to work at the airport. So I would do border force, basically passport checks. And it happened a few times where I'd say, there's a guy there and they'll be like, oh, are you traveling with someone? Yes. I'm like, is she over there? And they're like, no, he. So I'm like, okay. It happened a few times, bit awkward. And I'll be like, so I started to learn to say partner or are they over there?
Yep.
And then I let the person kind of say he or she.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
That's fair.
So there's scenarios where I started to learn that kind of quote respectful but linguistically inaccurate kind of type of speech as well.
Yeah, I mean, if it's something quick like that, where it's just like a quick conversation and, you know, you just...
Like in a social setting, you kind of want it to run as smooth as you can. You know what I mean? But then if we're going to sit there talking about like fundamental truths, it's kind of a different scenario there. Yeah. You haven't had any encounters?
Not so much, no.
Yeah.
Not so much. I mean, I've had like emails from people and they'll say she, her, he, him.
Oh.
Like, okay, fair enough. Like it's a guy or it's a girl.
Yeah.
When it says they, them, I'm a bit like, But then you also ask yourself, is it worth going into an argument with this person? Or do you just want to respond to the email and just be like, whatever?
Well, it's not argument, but as well, do you know any people who work in schools?
I do.
Yeah. So like it has fucking taken over schools to the point where like kids are saying to teachers, it's she or it's they. You know what I mean? It's literally the adults have left the room and you're not allowed to tell these fucking children like, hey, no, that's not the case. You fucking listen to me, basically. Yeah. It's a different time, man.
It's a hard one.
It is. At the core of it, like even if I see like some guy in a dress, like clearly just a guy in a dress, they're always old. There was someone like disenfranchised or unattractive. Like that's the reality. It's someone who's got like not much else going for him. I think at its core, it just feels like let's say that guy was just wearing normal male clothes. No one's looking at him. He's just like, you're just another guy. Do you know what I mean? Like no one cares. But then he slaps a dress on and suddenly he's kind of, it becomes this, you're part of something. You're part of this force. You're like, I'm doing the thing. So at its core, even, sorry, and I'll wrap that point, but even the they, them thing, like instead of saying like she or he, you have to refer to them by their first name or they. At its core, I just think the whole thing is like an attention grab, basically.
It's people wanting to belong. And that's a human thing. People want to feel like they belong to some type of denomination.
Yeah.
There's the transgender community. There's the cross-dresser community. There's all these different communities. There's the vegan community.
Yeah, true.
Where they go and they're really religious about it and enforce it on people. But at the end of the day, these people, they feel like they belong to something. They feel like they have some type of creed and they have other people they can fall back to and be like, these are my people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a human thing. Same with religion. Same with different sects in a religion. It just can...
It's a group identity thing.
Yeah, it's like a hive mind type of thing as well. Yeah. And it can get destructive when you're starting to impose it on kids because kids are a clean slate. And the only person who should be able to impose their ideas on kids are the fathers and the mothers.
100%.
The parents, because they're responsible for that kid.
It's your kid.
It's your kid. So you're free to... you're free to teach them what you want to teach them 100%. And raise them how you want to because you're feeding them, you're paying for them. Where it gets really dirty and really weird... where it gets weird is where... other people and other schools and other facilities are trying to grab your kid and say, no, you believe this. Or look at this rainbow flag and put it in your face. Because the kid's like starts getting confused, like, what's going on? Yeah. And then that can lead to them having mental issues.
Yeah.
So for someone to be a cross-dresser and do what they want, that's fine. We're in a free country. Like we're in Australia, you can do what you want, practice what you want. It's just as long as you keep modesty, like you're not flashing your ass or your dick in kids' faces, like they do in some places.
Yeah.
And you're not enforcing it on other people, then it's fine.
And you're an adult.
And
you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Do what you want. Like, just don't enforce it on us, and don't put your filth in our kids' faces.
Yeah, I know.
That's all we ask. It's simple.
Hopefully, it does come around, though, man. Like even this, I'm sure we would have spoke about it beforehand, but you can feel it in the air, the comfort in talking about. Just your opinions, basically.
Yeah. This is why I say I wouldn't last on the podcast.
Yeah, probably not. You probably got me cancelled, bro.
It's cancel central, man. This is very politically incorrect what we're saying in terms of. No one would accept that. In a professional setting, in a mainstream setting. You'd be seen as a bigot, a racist, and every heinous word under the sun. Just talking like this. But between me and you, this is like standard.
Between us, between the crew.
Between the boys. It's common knowledge. Like it's not something wow.
How dare you?
20 years ago, everyone would have thought this. 15 years ago, this wouldn't have been crazy where you see someone that's obviously a man that identifies as a woman going into a woman's toilet, for example. That'd be crazy. Now
the sports.
Now that the sport thing as well. You get an obvious male, jacked off his gills, identifies as a woman, just belting the shit out of all the other women.
I'm pretty sure that Iman Khalif or whatever, ended up being confirmed a male.
No,
I think ended up being.
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure, bro.
I remember reading into it. So
I'm pretty sure there was back and forths at the time.
Talking about the Algerian boxer, right?
Yes, I'm pretty sure there was back and forths at the time, and then the water got muddied, and then I'm pretty sure Derek Moreplates spoke about it recently, saying
More plates, more dates.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
I think confirming that
Yeah.
she is a he. I don't know.
From what I last seen on it, everyone thought at the start that it was a he, and everyone was real pissed about it because Iman belted the shit out of whoever she was fighting. But then later on, they went into the history and they saw pictures of her when she was a kid, and she actually was a female.
Yeah, it was like a genetic.
It's like she must have really high testosterone or just masculine. And I've known women with masculine features.
Yeah, true.
It's not. It doesn't mean they have to be transgender. I don't know. I didn't research it more than that after the Olympics, so it could be right, could be wrong. I don't know. I actually don't know, but yeah, it's still pretty funny to see. Like, you want to have this transgender, this, and identifies this, and okay, and then you have the men out competing the woman.
Yeah.
Just belting the shit out of them. Like,
Breaking
it's
their
pretty.
skull, right?
It's pretty unfair to the woman, to be honest, to the actual woman. Like, it's the most anti-feminist thing ever.
Yeah, it's funny how it literally comes full circle. And like, even on that thought as well, it's the part that gets me is like, all right, you're transgender, yeah, you're a man wanting to be a woman, and what makes you say women can't wear jeans and a flannel shirt? Like, why does woman need to be high heels, big tits, you know what I mean? Like, they're like wearing womanhood in a way that's like condescending to women who are just normal women and aren't always like over accentuating how they're women, if that makes sense. It almost feels like they're wearing womanhood in a way that's actually misogynistic.
As in,
like,
women are doing that, or trans?
Trans people,
okay,
yeah, they're doing it as like an accessory, and it's like, is that what you've diminished a woman to? Basically, just an appearance of what you think a woman might look like.
Yeah, it sounds pretty sexist.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's all a contradiction.
Yeah.
It's all, but that's what it is. It's because the morals are so cooked. It's just everything's flipped on its head. Nothing makes sense.
Yeah,
it's like they're trying to say the sky's blue. Sorry, the sky's green when it's obviously blue, or water is dry. Like something obvious and logical, and deep down as humans, we know this. It's uncanny.
Yeah,
it's not right. But they try and say, no, it is right. It's fine. You're a racist. You're a bigot.
Yeah.
If you don't accept it, it's cooked. Like, it's all flipped, and hopefully we start seeing change and things starting to veer back to traditional, ways of thinking.
Basic common sense.
Yeah, common sense, basically.
It's called there's a word, sophistry, and it pretty much means when people use a illogical argument, but they muddy the water so much that people who aren't clear can kind of like it doesn't make sense, but it makes just enough of potential sense that someone who's not sure can actually wear it. That's kind of why it grabbed onto so many people.
Yeah, so they cover it with all this shit and present it to you, and put some glitter on it.
But it's exactly.
It's glittery shit.
Glittery shit.
Accept it. Basically, and be like, oh, okay.
Okay.
That's right, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And in this day and age, everyone's so distracted. People don't really have their own thoughts anymore. It's just scroll.
Man, I'm struggling with that though.
Like, no one really sits down without stimulus and just thinks. You don't even. We're guilty of it ourselves.
Yeah,
scrolling. You look at your screen time. When was the last time you actually just sat and meditated and just said, I'm not looking at any other external stimulation. I'm just going to think and pay attention to my own thoughts.
I haven't done that in a very long time. Yeah.
Imagine 100 years ago when people didn't have phones and all that. That's all people did all day.
Yeah,
if they weren't working.
They feel like a different kind of human, man. Like my urge to just grab the phone is, and it was never like that. Because I never had Instagram before the podcast. And then I downloaded it. Like, I had it, but I hadn't had it for years. Downloaded it, but as soon as I jumped in, man, it just fucking caught me. Yeah. And I feel like it's detrimental to the podcast as well, because now I'm not having original thoughts. So I'm just kind of coming in with this like recycled shit, basically. And it's just, I'm a worse version of myself. I don't know what to do about it, though. I don't think any of us know what the fuck to do about it. We just accept it, bro. We're a cyborg. This is us. We're just a fucking human phone right now, bro.
Yeah. Well, everything's a tool at the end of the day. As well. Like, you could use social media for good things. You could use it to raise money.
Yeah.
To send to starving children in another country.
Yeah.
You could use it to spread awareness. But like I said before, everything's a double-edged sword. So it's how you use it.
Yeah.
You can use a gun to protect your family against invaders.
Yeah.
Or you can use it to go and rob a family.
Yeah.
Kill everyone in the house and take their stuff. Like, it matters on how you use the thing. And I think if people are more self-aware,
conscious of what they're doing,
conscious of how things are affecting them, and they can recalibrate and sit back and self-reflect and then fine-tune things to be at benefit for themselves, then you can get around it pretty well.
Yeah, all right.
I'm pretty optimistic.
Oh no, good on you, man.
Yeah.
No, it's the right mindset to have. You know, regardless of the outcome, that's the optimal mindset to have about it.
Yeah.
Hopefully. What's plans for you, man? Where do you want to take your physio, your project, StrongMan? What's the future look like for Jihad?
So my main focus right now is building up my physio business, which I've just started. And alhamdulillah, that's slowly building up. Becoming a better physio so I can provide more value to my clients and help them achieve what they've set out to achieve, whether that be getting out of pain, returning to a sport, having a better quality of life, expanding on my knowledge, constant self-improvement. I want to own a gym.
Are you copying the Art Belux?
Arbella?
Yeah.
So what,
The wedding Art Belux?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Every time someone gets married, Arbella.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
So we all live in the same life as Arabs. Yeah. If you're single and you're Arab, man, everyone's
good
asking
luck.
me, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? Once you're married, yeah.
Line them up.
Yeah. So
Sorry, I cut you off. Did you say your own gym?
I would want to own my own gym as well, eventually as well, yeah.
That's amazing, yeah.
And I'd be able to work physio out of that too. And yeah, I'd have it as like a training facility for not only Muslims, but I want to attract Muslims to be strong.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the Muslim community is pretty unfit.
Really?
The majority, I feel like that.
Okay, all right.
I feel like a lot of them are just, distracted by either games or office jobs, and they don't take fitness and health seriously. When it's a pretty big component in Islam to be healthy and strong and look after your body.
Right, yeah.
There's like a hadith that the strong believer is better than the weak believer, and there's good in both.
Like physically strong believer.
Physically and spiritually, but physically
But that's strength.
It's particularly meaning physically as well.
Yeah.
So I want to bring that back to the community, to the Islamic community, and to the wider community. It doesn't mean only Muslims themselves. And I love the gym. The gym changed my life. So to be able to work in a gym and to work in physio at the same time, would be goals, because then you wouldn't even feel like you're working. And just continue to get stronger, continue to improve myself, continue to improve my knowledge, and just become a better person.
Awesome, man.
Constant jihad for improvement.
Yeah, straight out. Yeah.
Struggle for improvement.
Yeah. It's awesome. I really appreciate the sit down today, man. It's been very informative. It's been honestly nice to meet you. Yeah, because you do have like a on social media you kind of you don't know the person, so it's always interesting coming into these as well. Is just like getting someone's thoughts, knowing their story as well. And it's definitely been a very enjoyable sit down. So
it has.
Appreciate your time, man.
No worries.
I'll be down for a round 2, man. We'll see how things go. Let life's paths play out, and I'm down to circle back for sure.
100%, we've got to run it back.
That's it, man. All right. I guess until the next one, guys.
That's it.
Peace.